Welcome everyone to our 60-minute Vinyasa yoga practice. Go ahead and find your way to your mat, and once you're on your mat, find a seated posture. Then just let yourself settle into the seated posture. We'll take a few moments to allow ourselves to become present for our yoga practice. So once you're seated, you can let your eyes close down if you feel comfortable doing that. And then bring your focus, your attention to your breath, and notice the breath flowing in and flowing out. And this is, in a way, just a technique to focus the mind on one thing and to kind of stop the mind from jumping all over the place. This allows us to train our brains to notice one thing at a time and to stay with that one thing instead of flitting from object to object, from time to time, and from place to place. So do your best to just continue to focus on your breath. And if you find your mind wandering to something else, like your grocery list, then gently nudge your mind back to your breath and say, no, what we're going to do now is focus on the breath. And keep it there and maybe deepen the focus so you're noticing even more deeply at a more subtle level what the breath feels like as it flows in and flows out. And this really is all meditation is practicing on focusing the mind. About 3 more breaths. And now 2 more. And 1 last breath. And just let it go. You can open your eyes if you like. Bring your hands to your knees, palms facing down. Sit up nice and tall. Draw your navel in and then relax the shoulders a little bit. So if you've hugged your shoulders up towards your ears, I'm doing it obviously for effect. I'm lifting my shoulders higher than you normally would. But if you've lifted them up at all, just relax them down. Now look to the left and then to the right. Notice how that feels as you look to the left and then look off to the right. One more time, looking to the left, paying attention to the feeling in the neck, and then bring it back to center. Now left ear towards left shoulder, and then chin to chest. Right ear towards right shoulder, and then lift the chin up, looking up. And now left ear towards left shoulder. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. This is my second time around, lifting my chin. And then bringing the ear towards the shoulder and then chin to chest. Now I'm going to go back the other way. Left ear towards left shoulder, lifting my chin up. Right ear towards right shoulder, and then the chin comes down. And again, around twice more. And last time. Now level your chin and then take a very gentle twist to the left and then a very gentle twist to the right and to the left and to the right. For the last one, slow it down a little bit more so that you can really pay attention. Focus your mind on what it feels like to twist in this way and back the other way and then back to center. Now reach the arms out. Now palms face up, arms out to a T. Reach the fingertips apart from one another. On an inhale, slowly reach the arms up and overhead. Bring your palms together overhead and then look up towards the palms. On the exhale, bring the hands down halfway, palms face down. Now flip the palms so they face up, and the inhale, reach the palms high. Arms straight if you can. Look up towards the thumbs. And then exhale, level the chin. Bring the arms halfway down. And one more time. Inhale up, palms together, look up, and exhale and down. Now bring the right hand down. Reach the left hand over. Stay grounded in the left sitting bone. And now draw your navel in a little bit and inhale and rise back up. Now bring your left hand down. Reach your right hand up and over, stretching the right side body. Inhale and rise. Second time on this side, right hand down, reaching with the left hand. Now if you bring your left elbow forward, you're not going to be feeling that stretch on the left side of the body as much. So try and keep the left elbow up over the shoulder or over your head. And then reach, really stretch it out. And inhale and rise. And left hand down, right hand reaching. And let's do one more time on each side. Right hand down, left hand reaching, stretch it out. Inhale, come back up. Keep your spine long. Try not to round the spine at all here. And inhale and rise. Now bring the arms up and overhead, interlace your fingers, invert your palms. Stretch the palms up towards the sky. Press up even more until you start to feel a stretch in the armpits. And then as you exhale very slowly, and keep the exhale coming, slowly bring the arms down. Keep pressing through the palms. The elbows are straight. And then eventually, feel that stretch in the shoulders and the back of the neck. And then lean forward, press your palms into the mat. The fingers are still interlaced. Press your heart forward, lift the chin a little bit, and reach your tailbone towards the back of the room. So you're moving into a little bit of a back bend. Now lean back up, take the weight off the hands, release the palms, let them float up towards the sky. Fingers are still interlaced. Press through the palms, and then release the hands and bring them down. Let's come to table pose. On all fours, and then pick your left knee up just so the left knee comes off the mat, and then let your knee describe a circle as you're looking down on it, and just make that circle get bigger and bigger, and even a little bit bigger, and then go back the other way. Start with big circles, and then let the circles get a little smaller. Notice how your abdominal muscles are probably coming into play a bit. Circle getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Bring the left knee down. Pick the right knee up now and start to make circles. Doesn't matter which direction. With that knee, and let the circles get larger and larger. And notice if you're feeling a tendency to rush, to speed it up. If you do, try and slow it down. Now notice where you're feeling this in your body. For me, I'm feeling it in the glute as well as the hip. Then when I'm ready, I'll come back the other way, starting with big circles, kind of unwinding, letting the circles get smaller and smaller, and even a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to bring the right knee down. So we're back to table pose. Kind of realign everything. So your hands are under your shoulders, and the knees are right under the hips. Now inhale to cow pose. Lift your chin. And then exhale to cat. And inhale to cow. And exhale to cat. Get the breath moving a little bit more. Inhaling to cow pose. And exhaling to cat. And to cow on the inhale. And to cat on the exhale. Twice more. We're going to do a total of 7. And one more. And now come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands forward a little bit. Now we're going to make circles with the hips. So press the hips off to the right. Keep that left palm and the fingertips pressing into the mat. Now bring your hips forward so the weight comes over the hands. Elbows are straight. And then press the hips off to the left. And then back. And off to the right. And forward. And to the left. And back. You can go around another time or two. And then when you're ready, swing it back the other way. So start with the hips to the left, and then forward, and then to the right. And I'd rather you slow this down a little bit and kind of master the technique than speed it up and miss the technique. And then when you're ready, come back to neutral, but keep the hands forward of the shoulders, and then press back towards child's pose, reaching the tailbone towards your heels. Keep the hands on the mat. So for me, that brings a big stretch into the shoulders. Then on an inhale, lift your navel up. Draw the navel towards the spine really intently. And then glide your hips forward and down. Now press the tops of the feet into the mat. Bring your shoulder blades together on the back and look straight forward. And then flow through it again. Press back towards child's pose. And then inhale, rising. And exhale, gliding forward. Gaze is forward now. Press back towards child's pose. Do it again. And then glide it forward. And one more time. Pressing back towards child's pose. And glide it all forward. And then come back to table pose. And then tuck your toes. And let's find downward facing dog. Find the right length for you in the pose. That is the distance between your hands and your feet. And ultimately what you're looking towards is about a 90-degree angle between your upper body and your lower body. If you like, go ahead and pedal it out. Bend one knee and then the other. And you can let your hips follow so the hips can sway side to side. Kind of emphasizing that action of pressing the heel on the straightened leg down towards the mat. Maybe moving more deeply into the pose as you do that. And then eventually bring yourself to stillness in downward facing dog. And then glide forward to plank pose. Bring your hips down so they're aligned with your shoulders and heels. And then press your hips back to downward facing dog. We're going to do that 4 more times. Glide forward towards plank pose. Take a deep breath. And then on the exhale, lift your hips into downward facing dog. And again, gliding forward to plank. And lifting your hips into downward facing dog. Let's do it one more time. Gliding forward to plank. And then lifting your hips into downward facing dog. Now begin to walk your feet forward to your hands. I'm going to go really slow. Picking the right foot up, pressing it down. Picking the left foot up, pressing it down. And the right foot. And then the left foot. Trying to keep my hands, my palms on the mat as I walk forward. And eventually that may mean that you need to bend your knees. Feel free to do that if that's the case. And then come into a standing forward fold. So your upper body is folded over the lower body. The knees can be bent a little bit. That'll let your head drop down just a bit more. Now bring the arms out to a T and bring your weight into the front of the feet so your heels begin to float. Now keep your spine long, nice and flat, and slowly rise up. Once you're all the way up, let your arms float high, and then bring your hands to heart center, pressing the palms gently together. Take a breath. And one more. Now on an inhale, reach the arms up, and then back just slightly. Look up towards your thumbs, and then swan dive, forward fold. This time come to a half lift with your hands either at the top of the shins, lengthening the spine, or if you can, if you're feeling more flexible today, maybe your palms on the mat. Either way, spine stays long. Release from that, let your head drop down. Leave the right foot forward and the left foot steps back into a runner's lunge. Press back on the left heel. Now step the right foot back into plank pose. Press your hands into the mat. Elbows straight but not hyperextended. Now bring your knees to the mat. And chest and chin are going to follow. Elbows tucked in. Cobra Pose. Take a deep breath. Just feel the back bend. And exhale and release. Now tuck your toes, push to plank, and then let your hips rise up into downward facing dog. Stretch it out in downward dog, pressing the heels down towards the mat. Now on an inhale, lift your right leg up and then step it forward so it comes between the hands, and let the left foot follow into a standing forward fold. Now bring your arms out to a T with the palms facing down. Bring the weight forward again so the weight comes into the front of the feet, and then rise slowly. Spine stays long as you come up. Glutes engage deeply, and your arms float high. Look up towards the palms and bring them together, and then pull them down gently to heart center. Inhale up. We're going to do that again. Swan dive, forward fold. Come to your half lift, and then let your head drop down. Now step the right foot back into runner's lunge. Left knee's bent about 90 degrees. You know how to do this. And left foot steps back now to plank pose. Take a breath and lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Now glide forward to plank and then lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 3 more times. Gliding forward to plank. Make sure the hips come all the way down until they're level with the shoulders and heels. And then very slowly, downward facing dog. And twice more. Gliding forward to plank and lifting the hips. And last one. Gliding forward to plank and lifting the hips into downward facing dog. Now come to plank one more time. Then bring your knees to the mat and chest and chin. Cobra Pose. This is our second Cobra Pose, maybe our third. And release. Now toes tuck as you push to plank, and the hips rise to downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg rises, and step the left foot forward, bringing it between the hands. The right foot follows now, standing forward fold. Here, take opposite elbows. Press the elbows down towards the toes. Bend the knees. I'm really feeling that in my hamstrings, which apparently are pretty cold this morning and kind of shortened. So I'm going to bend my knees a little bit. And that enables me to keep my spine long and not to overstress the hamstrings. Now keep opposite elbows and keep your biceps on either side of the ears. We're going to hinge at the hips as we rise. That means the spine stays long. Keep reaching through the elbows as you come up. And then eventually reach the elbows high. Stretch it up. And then release the hands. Reach them high. And bring the right hand down. So the right hand comes down to the side of the leg. Reach the left hand up and over. Press your hips to the left. Inhale and rise. And the other side. Hips press to the right. Inhale and rise. We're just going to flow from side to side. Try and keep your whole core engaged as we move through this flow. A couple more times on each side. And one more time. And then back to center. Reach the arms high. Now bring the hands behind you. Interlace your fingers behind your back. And press your knuckles towards your heels. The shoulder blades are coming together on the back, but notice there's not too much arching backwards in my back. So I'm not trying to do this, and I'm not looking up. My gaze is straight forward. Now hinge at the hips. Keep your spine long. Let your head come down. Reach the knuckles high. Little bend in the knees is okay, and you can bring the weight into the front of the feet. Maybe reach the arms forward. Feel that great stretch in the shoulders. And then release the hands. Bring them down. Come to a half lift. As you exhale, step the left foot back into runner's lunge. The right foot stays forward. Then bring your left knee to the mat and untuck the toes on the left foot. You may want to heel toe that right foot to the right a little bit. Press into the right foot and rise and reach up. Reach through the wrists. Now bring the arms out to a T. And we're going to take a twist to the right. Bring the left elbow to the knee and bring the palms together. The right elbow is reaching high. Now come out, reaching the palms to the right, and then back to center, and reach up and overhead. We're going to go through that again. Arms out to a T, take a twist, prayer twist, bring the elbow to the knee, palms together, and then press into the right foot and rise. This is the second time. Back to center and reach up. Third time on this side. Yeah, we're going to do it 3 times on each side. Prayer twist. And then coming back out. And then reach the arms high. And exhale the hands down on either side of that right foot. Now tuck your toes and bring your left knee off the mat. And then step the right foot back into plank pose. Take a breath. Then as you exhale, flow through a vinyasa. Upward facing dog comes. Knees off the mat if you're able. And then when you're ready, time for downward facing dog again. Press the heels down towards the mat. Lengthen the spine. As you inhale, lift the left leg up. And then step it through. How are you doing on your step throughs? Can you get that foot all the way forward between the hands in the step throughs? Now bring the right knee to the mat, untuck the toes on the right foot, and reach the arms high. Now arms come out to a T. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to take our twist, bring the elbow to the knee and join the palms. Take a breath there. Now on the exhale, rise back up, palms face to the left, back to center, reach up high. Let's do it again. Arms to a T. Take your twist, palms together, elbow high, come out. Palms face to the left, back to center, and reach up high. One more time. Arms to a T, and then take your twist, and then palms together, elbow to knee. The left elbow reaches high. Take a breath in, and exhale, come back out, pressing in the left foot, and back to center. Reach up high, and exhale the hands down. Now tuck the toes, bring the right knee off the mat. Pause for a moment. And now step your left foot back, plank pose. Breathe in deeply and out completely. And again, deep breath in and exhale and let the breath go. Now bring your knees to the mat. Come all the way down to the belly. Let your chest rest on the mat. Now bring your arms out to a T. We're going to do a locust pose, but we're going to begin in half locust. That means we're going to lift the upper body off the mat only, so the tops of the feet are still pressing into the mat. On an inhale, lift your chest up, lift your hands up, lift your head off the mat. Just breathe. Lift a little higher if you can. And maybe a little bit higher. And then release. All the way down, and bring your cheek to the mat. 2 breaths now. And one more. Good. Now bring your hands behind you and release your fingers behind your back. We're going to do a full locust pose now. Straighten the elbows, press the flesh of the palms together, and on an inhale, lift everything off the mat. The feet, the knees, the chest, the hands. Press your knuckles towards your heels. Breathe in and out. Breathing in, feel your body rising up a little. And breathing out, feel it fall just a bit. Just one more time. Breathing in. And release. Bring it all down. You can bring the cheek to the mat if you like. And just pause for a moment. Allow your breath to begin to return to its normal rhythm. And one more breath. Now, bring your hands under your shoulders, and then tuck your toes, push to plank, and then lift your hips, finding downward facing dog. Press the heels down towards the mat. Lots and lots of length in the spine. Now, bend your knees and hop into a standing forward fold. Let your head drop down. Take opposite elbows again. Press the elbows down towards the big toes. Let your head get heavy. And let the weight come into the front of the feet. Now, just like we did before, keep your biceps on either side of the ears. Keep your spine long and keep the weight in the front of the feet as you rise. Nice and slow coming up. Really feel that in the glutes and the abdominal muscles very deeply as you come up. Then once you're up, reach the elbows high and then back and lift your gaze. Bend the knees a little bit. And then all the way back up. Release the arms and let them come all the way down by your side. Flip your palms so they face forward, thumbs point out. You can let your eyes close down if you like. 2 breaths. And 1 more. Now leave your right foot forward and step your left foot back about a 3/4 step. So it's about 3.5 feet, somewhere between 3 and 4 feet on me. Then my right knee bends. We're moving towards Warrior One. Then eventually let your arms float up and overhead. And remember, because we've done this many, many times, remember the hips need to come as close as possible to being parallel to the front of the mat. Right knee is bent, so don't straighten the right knee. Now your gaze is straight forward. Let your gaze be level. Check in with the shoulders. Make sure the shoulders are square to the front of the mat as well. Now, bring the right hand behind your back and press the back of the hand into the low back. Reach up through the left hand. Now, keep reaching through that left hand as you hinge at the hip. Reach the left hand forward. Keep your spine long, so try not to round. And you're going to start to feel lots of engagement in that right leg. And then inhale and rise back up. Let's do that a second time. Reaching forward with the right hand. Notice my bicep is right outside my left ear. And inhale and rise back up. And let's do it one more time. Now press into that right foot. Keep the right knee bent as you rise. Then release the right hand. Reach it high. Straighten the right leg. Hinge at the hip. And reach straight forward and eventually bring the hands down to the mat. This is pyramid pose. And now let your forehead come down towards the shin of that right leg. Keep your spine long. Keep inching that right hip back and the left hip forward, creating sensation in the back of the right leg. Think about reaching the top of your head towards the big toe on the right foot. Now slowly begin to rise, bending the right knee, and then come up to Warrior One. And then bring your hands to heart center and press your palms together. Bring the weight into the right foot, and we're going to step into tree pose. So we're going to pick the left foot up, the back foot, and eventually bring that left foot into tree pose, bringing the foot either to the inside of the thigh or to the lower part of the leg. And as we always do, find your place in tree pose. Maybe have your left big toe on the mat and the left heel on the right ankle, kind of steadying yourself in tree. Or maybe have your foot on the lower part of the leg. Or maybe you've got that foot all the way up to the inside of the thigh. Couple more breaths. And one more. Good job. Release the foot and bring it back to the mat. Keep your hands at heart center, hinge at the hips, and fold forward. Come to a half lift, and then exhale, bring the hands all the way down to the mat. Now step or jump back to plank pose and flow through a vinyasa, upward dog. And when you're ready, it's time for downward facing dog. On an inhale, reach the left leg up and a 3/4 step forward with the left foot. So the left foot ends up not all the way forward between the hands. Spin the right heel to the mat, the left knee is bent, and rise to Warrior One on our second side. Check in with your shoulders. See if your shoulders are square to the front of the mat. Check in with the hips. See if the hips are square to the front of the mat. If you want to bring your hands down to your hips and kind of manipulate the hips so that you pull the right hip forward and the left hip back so that the hips square up, feel free to do that. And then when you're ready, bring the left hand down behind your back, bend the elbow, and press the back of the hand into your low back. Keep the left knee bent. Reach up through the right hand. Now hinge at the hips, hand fold forward. Keep the left knee bent as you press into the left foot and rise. I really feel that in my left leg. Do it a second time, reaching forward and rising back up. And one more time, reaching forward and then rising all the way back up. Now release the hand, reach it high. Both hands reaching up. We're back to Warrior One pose now. Straighten the left leg. Now pull your left hip back a little bit and then hinge at the hips and slowly fold forward, coming towards pyramid pose. Eventually bring your hands to the mat. Try and keep your left leg straight. Maybe pull that left hip back a little bit. And now sensation in the back of that left leg for most of you as you bring your forehead down towards the shin on the left leg. Keep your spine long. Top of the head reaching towards the big toe on the left foot. Now bend the left knee and rise back to Warrior One pose. And then hands come to heart center. This is where we step to tree pose. Bring the weight into the left foot. Just do your best. And then step that right foot forward and find tree pose on the second side. And breathe. Couple more breaths. And one more. Now release from tree pose and bring the right foot down. Let your arms float high and then bring them behind you. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Press your knuckles towards your heels. We've been here before. Now hinge at the hips and fold forward and let your head drop down. Reach the knuckles high. Bring the weight into the front of the feet. And then release the hands. Bring them down. Now, half lift. And exhale, let your head drop down. Left foot steps back, runner's lunge. Left hand stays on the mat, right hand reaches up. This is a lunge twist. Keep that right knee bent and pressing forward. So if you straighten the right knee a little bit, rebend it. And now bring the right hand down. The right hand comes to the inside of the right foot. Stay up on the ball of the left foot. I know the tendency is to want to bring that left heel to the mat. Try and resist that for a moment. And now you can do it. Pull the left heel down. So you've spun the left heel to the mat. The toes on the left foot are pointing to the left side of the mat. Keep your right knee bent, and let's rise to Warrior Two. First time in Warrior Two today, just relax a little bit. I mean, unless you've been practicing before this practice. Bend your right knee just a little bit more. And now find extended side angle pose. We usually do extended side angle pose in this class with the elbow on the knee, but another option is to bring the hand all the way down to the mat. You can certainly do it that way if you prefer, or maybe just to change it up a little bit. Still an extended side angle. Find a half bind now. Left hand comes behind, and maybe connect the left palm with the right thigh. Open the left shoulder and look up. Right knee is still bent, and stay anchored in the pinky toe of that back foot. Open the left shoulder a little bit more. One more breath. Now release back to extended side angle pose. Reaching through that left hand, feeling the stretch in the left shoulder. Now keep the right knee bent and rise to Warrior Two. Now a reverse warrior. Left hand comes down to the back of the leg. Reach up and back with the right hand. Stretch it out. Right knee is still pressing forward. And then back to extended side angle pose. Now rise to a reverse triangle. Right leg straightens. Bring the left hand down to the back of the leg again and reach with the right hand. You need to press into your right foot so you have something to press against or reach from with the right hand. Now triangle pose. Arms to a T. The palms face down. Press into the left foot now. Reach the right hand forward and then let it come down into triangle pose. You can support that right hand on the leg or the mat or a block if you have it, or you can just let the hand float. It's your option. Floating would be more energetic. One more breath. Now bend the right knee, rise to warrior two. Take a breath, and then bring your hands down. On either side of the right foot, come up onto the ball of the left foot, and right foot steps back to plank pose. Take a breath, and let it go. On an inhale, lift your hips. There's no vinyasa here, and then glide forward to plank. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale to plank. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale to plank. And one more. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale to plank. Take a breath. Now flow through Vinyasa. Come to upward facing dog. Then bring your knees to the mat. And rise to kneeling. And we're going to find a version of Camel Pose. Baby Camel Pose, if you like, with the hands pressing into the low back, so that provides support for you in the pose. Bring the elbows together a little bit, and then lift your chin, press your chest up towards the sky. Maybe full Camel Pose if you want, bringing the hands to the heels. It's up to you. Just enjoy the deep back bend. One more breath. It's not easy to talk in this pose. Slowly rise. Let your arms float high. And then exhale the hands down. And then tuck your toes and lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Now bend the knees and take a nice hop. So the feet eventually come between the hands. We're in a standing forward fold. Notice how your hamstrings feel now. Have they loosened up? They feel warmer. Let your head drop down. If not, bend the knees still a little. Now bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers behind your back. Reach the knuckles up. Press into the front of the feet. The heels are almost floating as you rise. Now release your hands. And then exhale into chair pose. Utkatasana. Gaze is forward towards the front of the space. 2 more breaths. Try and relax the midsection of the body a little bit. Relax the shoulders a little. Now bring the arms out to a T with the palms facing forward. Take a twist to the left. Palms face to the left. And back to center. And a twist to the right. And back to center. Reach the arms high, straighten the legs. And then come all the way down, forward fold. Half lift. As you exhale, step your right foot back into runner's lunge. Left knee is bent 90 degrees. You know how to do this. Now right hand stays down. Left hand reaches up into a lunge twist. If you straighten that left knee, rebend it. Now bring the left hand down. Inside that left foot, reach the right hand high into a revolt lunge twist. And then spin the right heel to the mat. Anchor into the pinky toe of the right foot. I'm just reorienting towards the back of my mat so you can see me. And then rise to warrior two. Settle into warrior two and start to feel that in the left leg. Notice where you're feeling the sensation, where you're feeling the muscular engagement. Now extended side angle. Reach through the right hand. And the half bind. Right hand comes behind. And maybe you can bring that right palm to the left thigh. Open the right shoulder. Maybe look up towards the sky. If that feels uncomfortable, unsteady, you can keep your gaze off to the side. One more breath in our half bind. Now release back to extended side angle. And then rise to reverse warrior. So the left knee stays bent. The left hand reaches up and over. That left elbow's bent. And I'm really feeling that in the quadricep muscles on my left leg. One more breath. And now straighten the left leg. Reverse triangle pose. Reach through the left hand. Now bring your arms to a T. With the palms facing down, reach the left hand forward and bring it down. Triangle pose. And breathe. One more breath. You're doing great. It's been a pretty vigorous practice today. Now let the left knee bend and rise back to Warrior Two. And then cartwheel the hands down on either side of that left foot. Come up on the ball of the back foot, the right foot, and then step the left foot back to plank pose. Let's flow through our Vinyasa, upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. Press the heels down towards the mat. Now glide forward to plank. So all we're doing when we're doing this is hinging at the hips. The spine press back towards downward dog. The spine is staying nice and long and not rounding. Glide forward to plank again. And lift the hips. Downward facing dog. That's on the exhale. Inhale down. And exhale back to downward dog. And one more time. And then downward facing dog. And then on exhale, bring your knees to the mat and come up to kneeling. Second Camel Pose. Again, whichever version of Camel Pose feels right to you. So maybe it's just like this. But do your best to look up, lifting the chin. Or maybe you can come all the way down into the full expression of the pose. 3 breaths. Stay with it. 2 more breaths. Let the breath slow a little bit. And 1 more breath. Now slowly come up. And then bring your hands to the mat and then the elbows. Bend the elbows. See if you can bring your elbows to the front of the knees. And then bring the top of the head to the mat. And lift your tailbone a little bit. Another option, if you want, is to bring the hands to the feet and let the top of the head rest on the mat. Either way, this is called rabbit pose. We're just rounding the spine forward. 1 more breath in rabbit pose. And now, slowly come back up. I'm going to turn to face you. And what I'd like you to do is to straighten your right leg and bring it out to the side. So your leg is probably off onto the floor. If you want to reorient yourself on your mat so that you're oriented the way I am, that's fine too. It's up to you. Now reach your arms up and overhead. This is going to be Gait Pose. We're going to bring the right hand down. We're going to reach up with the left hand. And then we're going to reach over with the left hand. What I want you to do is reach mostly up though. So if you reach over too much, what happens is you start to compress the ribs on the right side of the body, bringing the ribs towards one another. I don't want to do that. I want to keep the right side of the body long, but at the same time stretch the left side of the body. Now bring the arms out to a T. Press through the heels of both hands with the fingers pointing up. That may create some tingling in the fingertips. And now bring the left hand down to the mat. We're going to move towards a side plank. Reach the right hand up and over, reaching straight out of that right shoulder. This is a supported version of the side plank. If you want to unsupport it, pick the left foot up and bring the top of the left foot, or the left foot to the top of the right foot, and just let it rest there. 1 more breath. Now bring the knee down if you've lifted it up. Rise back up and let's find a second Gait Pose on this side. Stretching out of that left side. And then come all the way back up. And release the right knee down. And let's go over to the other side. So straighten the left leg. Toes on the left foot, by the way, are pointing straight forward the direction you're looking. And they would be pointing the same direction as your shoulders, your chest is open. Bring the left hand down. Reach the right hand up and over. We're moving into Gait Pose on our second side. Pay attention to whether you're compressing the left side. It'll happen to some extent, a little bit, but try and reduce the amount of compression on the left side of the body. And feel that stretch on the right side. Now engage the core, bring your arms out to a T. Now press through the heels, fingers point up. Press through the heels a little bit more. Are you feeling the tingling in the fingertips? If you're not, press through the heels a little bit more and that'll probably get you tingling. Good, now bring the right hand down. And find our side plank, whatever version you're doing. Either a supported side plank with the right knee down or with the right foot resting on the left foot. One more breath. Come all the way back up. Bring the knee down if you've lifted it up. And find a second gait pose on this side. And then release from the pose. Bring the left knee down to meet the right knee. Let your hips drop to your heels. We've come to hero pose. Virasana. Palms on the thighs. Elbows tucked in, kind of close to the body. Just take a breath. And one more. Let's come to a seat now, in whatever way you'd like, facing the front of your mat probably. Now bend your knees, keep your spine long, draw your navel in a little bit, and then just lean back and lift your heels up. Keep pressing into the abdominal muscles so you're engaging those deeply and feeling that engagement with your fingers. Now reach the hands forward into a half boat pose and breathe. If you like, flip your palms so they face up and bring the tip of your thumb to the tip of the second finger and reach your pinky fingers forward. Lean back a little bit more and straighten the legs into a full boat pose. Take a deep breath. Let the breath go. And do that again. A big deep breath. And let it go. One more time. Stay with it. And then release the heels. Reach the arms high. And then exhale and fold forward over both legs. Let your forehead come down towards the shins. 2 more breaths. And one more. Now reach the fingertips forward, press into the back of the heels, and rise. Come all the way up. And then release the hands and bring them down. Now we're going to do Marichyasana. I forgot what we were doing. Bend the left knee and bring the sole of the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. And press that right foot down so the whole sole of the right foot is resting on the mat and pressing into the mat. Maybe bring that right heel back towards the left heel back towards the right hip a little bit, and then hug the knee in with your right arm, and then bring the left hand down behind you. Press through the right heel. Now take a deep breath in, and then exhale and find your twist. Do that again, a deep breath in, and exhale, maybe a little bit more deeply into the twist. One more time on this side. Deep breath in. And an exhale into the twist. Now pause. And let it go. Come back to center. And then over to the other side. So bend the right knee, bring the sole of the right foot to the outside of the left thigh. Maybe move that heel back closer to the hip on the left side. And then capture that knee with your left hand, your left arm, kind of in the crook of the elbow there. And bring the right hand down behind you. Sit up nice and tall. Press through the left heel. Take a deep breath. And then exhale and find the twist. Do that again. Breathe in deeply, letting your spine lengthen, and then exhale and twist. And one more time. Deep breath in. And let it go. Come back to center. And then roll down to your back. Now happy baby pose. The hands come to the pinky toe side of the feet in a happy baby pose. And our tendency in this pose almost always is to pick the tailbone up off the mat like this. What I want to do instead is to pull the tailbone back down and relax the shoulders so the back of the shoulders come down to the mat at the same time. Couple more breaths. Feel your back conforming to the flatness of the mat. Try and release any tension in the neck, in the back of the shoulders, or near the tailbone. Now, bring your right hand to your left foot, so both hands are on the left foot. And then pull that left knee down towards the left armpit. And then straighten the right leg. If you like, you can point the toes on the right foot. Keep hugging that left armpit or the left knee into the left armpit. And slowly, keep that right leg straight, but slowly let that right heel come all the way down to the mat. Notice how that creates sensation in the back of that left leg. Eventually let the heel land. And then on an inhale, slowly lift that leg all the way back up. Let's do that one more time. Keep the leg straight and let the heel float all the way down to the mat. Sometimes when I'm doing this pose, I wonder, where is the floor? It seems to be taking forever to get there. And then once the heel lands, there's the floor. Lift the leg back up. And then come back to a full happy baby pose. Remember to pull the tailbone down again. Then when you're ready, transfer the left hand to the right foot, so both hands are on the right foot. Hug that right knee into the armpit. Straighten the left leg. Press through the pinky or press through the toes of the left foot, and then slowly let that left heel come all the way down to the mat. Feel the sensation in the back of the right leg for most of us, and then lift the leg back up. And we're going to do it one more time. Let the heel come down. And lift it back up. And then bend the knee back to happy baby pose. Now release your hands from your feet. Reach your heels up to the sky into legs up the wall pose. You can stay here if you want to. Plow pose is available to you. Bring the toes up and overhead, touching them down on the floor behind you. Now come back to legs up the wall pose. And then from there, reach your arms up and overhead. Bring the palms together and stretch the fingertips towards the back of your space. Now point your toes and keep reaching the fingertips towards the back of the space. Keep the legs straight and let your heels come down towards the floor. Keep reaching through the toes and the fingertips. And then inhale and slowly lift the feet back up. And one more time. Reach through the fingertips. Let the feet come down towards the mat. Feel the deep engagement in the abdominal muscles. And then inhale and slowly lift your feet back up. Let your hands come back down by your side. Into legs up the wall pose. Press through the heels now. And press down on the sacrum and the tailbone. This is another opportunity for a plow pose, if you like. And then eventually everyone back to legs up the wall pose. And then from there, let your heels come all the way down to the mat. And once the heels land, you can flip your palms. And let's come to Shavasana. Take a deep breath now. Draw the breath in through both nostrils. And then exhale and let the breath go out the mouth. Do that again. A deep breath in through the nose. And a big open mouth exhale, committing to Shavasana. With your eyes gently closed, bring your attention, your focus, back to your breath. Now we will end this practice where we began. And that is moving the focus of our mind around. Keep the focus on the breath. And when your focus wavers, when it moves somewhere else, just gently bring it back, saying, no, now we're practicing on focusing on the breath. And deepen your focus on your breath, following it in and out, but also noticing its more subtle qualities. What is the emotional content of your breath this morning? How does it feel to you? Settle into that focus. So try not to work so hard at staying focused on the breath. Instead, just surrender into the focus. Relax a little bit. Now let your mind focus on the beating of your heart. And if you've done this practice with me before, which I know many of you have, you know that you may feel your heart beating someplace other than in your chest. In fact, it's common to feel it somewhere else. The mouth is a really easy place for most people to feel their heartbeat, or the nasal passages, or fingertips, or the toes. Now, let your focus rest on the heartbeat. Realize that you are sensing both the heart convulsing and then releasing, and on the pressure of the blood moving through your veins and arteries. Let your focus deepen. Now let your focus shift and bring your focus to the third eye, to eyebrow center. Just begin to focus on the space right between your eyebrows. Keep your focus there. And just notice what that feels like. What are you sensing at eyebrow center? What is the sensation? What is the content of the experience? And now release your focus from eyebrow center and allow your fingers and toes to start to move. And when it's time, bend your knees, draw the knees into the chest, and then roll over to your side, cradle your head in your arm. Pause for a moment here, and just let your mind focus on this experience. What does it feel like to rest this way? Now when you're ready, come to a seat. Once you're seated, you can bring your hands to heart center. Now draw a deep breath in, and then open your mouth and a big open mouth exhale. Let's do that a second time. A deep breath in, and a big open mouth exhale. Join me in offering loving kindness. May you be happy, and may you be well, and may you be safe. May you be peaceful, and may you be at ease. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me and one another to practice today. Have a great day.